Hey everybody, Steve Chilcote. I'm a consulting forester and wildlife habitat biologist in Pennsylvania. I work all over the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, and I want to talk to you today about thinning. So there's a lot said about TSI. You've heard these terms, timber stand improvement, forest stand improvement, same thing, just about, and things like hinge cutting and making bedding areas and things like that. So I thought I'd go over all the different ways that we use forestry practices to make your timber more valuable, get some money in your pocket, increase wildlife habitat, and keep big bucks on your land. That's what everybody's looking for. So here we go. Let's jump into this. First thing you have to do before you decide what you're going to do down here is you and I get together and we talk about what your objectives are, okay? So the objectives have everything to do with how we go about it. So your objectives could be anything from diversity, wildlife, forage, and cover, and quality timber. Some people that just want timber, they don't even want any deer on their property because they're farmers and they don't want them around. Good luck with that, but once in a while I get people that really don't care about wildlife and they just want to make a lot of money in timber, and that's okay too. I mean, we can do that. So there's a couple of ways you can go about cutting and some practices over on this side. One of them is commercial. One side's commercial, the other one's non-commercial, so no money, income, okay? So on the commercial side we have pulpwood harvesting, which in that case, I like to use mechanized harvesting because you can get in and around all your good trees, take out the bad ones, the low quality, thin everything down. You can either leave tops there and take the poles, or you can run all your trees through a chipper and do a chip operation where you have sort of a clean landscape. Now there's pluses and minuses to both of those, okay? And then we could do timber harvest. Now timber harvest, usually people, when they call me up and they say they want to sell some timber, they're looking for money. And they think it's time. You know, it's been 20 years, so it's time, right? Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And that's where I come in. I could tell you, how you should go about it. Sometimes people have already high graded their place a couple of times. High grading being taking the best, leaving the rest. And you end up with a bunch of green junk on your property that's not really growing a good stand of timber. So then we regenerate it and start over. Now, a couple ways to regenerate in a harvest. The best way is to clear cut, okay? But a lot of times, especially in heavy seeded trees like oaks and cherries, we like to use shelter wood methods, where we go in. A shelter wood is easily defined as a thinning and leaving good trees behind that have great crowns on them, so the seeds can find their way into all the spaces that you leave and start to grow. You have to get them thin enough that sunlight gets in and you don't have canopy closure, and leave enough so that you can get everything reseeded back. Now you'll have seeds germinating. You'll also have stump sprouts, so you can get a nice thick stand, hopefully, unless deer eat it all, which has happened to me. Another way to go about it is a seed tree cut, which is really just leaving a whole lot less behind. So if the place has been really abused, I'm going to do one of these this summer, where the place has been high graded so badly there's almost no trees left for a shelter wood. I have to do a seed tree, which is usually around, up here is about 50 square feet of basal area. And here, at least for my style, the seed tree cut is down around 20 feet of basal area, which is not very many trees. You could do selective thinning, where if you want to readjust the timber that's growing, the species that are growing in your woods, you could select out, say, the red maple. Say the market's good for a red maple right now. So we go in, we take some red maple, we mix a couple other things in there, and we can adjust the diversity that way. So that gives you the diversity. And people use select cut. I hear that constantly all the time. We're going to selectively harvest. Well, what they're usually doing is high grading. In other words, they're selecting all right, but they're selecting all the best trees. So like right now, for instance, the white oaks are really hot, and you can sell white oak for good money. 20 years ago, it was red oak and cherry. So, a lot of times you want to lean on those trees if you're looking for income, okay? But most of the time, I like to have a lot of diversity in case, let's say you have a solid oak stand with almost nothing else in there. If gypsy moth comes through, oak leaf roller, sudden oak death, there's so many things that can attack oaks right now. It's not good to have a pure oak stand. So enough about that. Clear cut, there's a couple ways to do clear cut. So you can clear cut the whole place and then just let it come back. If you do a clear cut, you have to do a lot of clear cutting. You have to do 100 acres in Pennsylvania or you won't get another tree back because there's too many deer and ferns, okay? But what I like is strict clear cuts where you can take a strip that is wide enough to let sunlight come in during the summertime and hit that forest floor and filter out through those trees. And what you're going to end up with is a whole lot of forbs, berries, new trees coming at the edges of those things. And when I was up in Maine and they did some strip clear cutting like that, those strip clear cuts are where all the wildlife was. Great for wildlife. Small openings is another way to do the same thing. You could do what they call a group tree select. In other words, you take a quarter acre, a half an acre circle and clear cut it. So that way, your forest is like here. You cut out a whole area in the middle, and the sunlight can then come down and hit the forest floor down here. This will thicken up and provide food and shelter for wildlife. Now, on the non-commercial side, let me back up 1 second. And what I want people to do, if you stay till the end, let me wait till the end. If you stay till the end, I'm going to give you my secret sauce to having fantastic deer cover on your property, and it won't cost you a thing. How's that? So on the non-commercial side, we do hack and squirt, and I'm sure you've seen that on the internet. If you don't know what it is, you take a hatchet and you hack the tree, put herbicide in there, and kill the tree. So that's a way to get rid of some trees that you want to get rid of. And the reason we do that is to get more sunlight to the forest floor again, and also to free up your better trees. If you want to do TSI, you want to get rid of the low quality trees, because why waste all the energy that's going into that junk tree when there's a beautiful oak standing right next to it? You can actually double the growth of oak trees by thinning in what they call crown release, where everything that touches the crown of that good oak tree or cherry or whatever it is, it could be a sugar maple. But I like oaks because they make acorns. Now, you're going to get more acorns out of that tree, and you're going to get more wood out of that tree in the future because it's going to double the growth. The crown is going to expand, hence more oaks or more acorns. You can hack and squirt. You can cut and stump treat with herbicide. You can cut them down and treat the stump so it doesn't sprout back. The only reason I would do that is things like things that are invasive, striped maple, some other tree that you just don't want to have there. I know I did a lot of work on DCNR land here in PA, where they paid me to cut birch, red maple, spray the stumps so they won't sprout. Terrible thing to do for deer. It's okay for regenerating timber, but you want to have those sprouts coming back so deer can eat that. So that's a cut, no treat. You could also hinge cut, okay? So some of this I was doing the other day, and there's a video coming out, and I'll put a link to it up here at the end, so you can check that out, demonstrating how to do that, or how I do it anyway. You can use forestry mulching, which is pretty cool. If you have a bunch of saplings, say you have an area that's nothing but birch saplings. We don't really need birch. There's plenty of it out there. It doesn't really help you as far as deer cover. So you can send a mulching head out there with a machine. You can get all different sizes of those things. You know, some of them are on track skidders. You can get mulching heads that are as big as this living room if you want to, but most of them are sitting on like 100-horse skid steer. Okay, those things will take out anything up to about 6 inches very readily and grind it into the forest floor. Now, if it's a real rocky piece of ground, nobody's going to want to do that for you, so that's something to consider too. The other thing that we've done recently is paid a logger while he's in there logging to actually mow birch with his circular feller buncher. So on a feller buncher you have a big circular saw. It's like 4 feet in diameter. And then you have, this is sitting on like a track hoe style machine, if you've never seen one. It attaches here, and this is all metal. And then you go into the tree and mow that off. Well, he can just swing that in and mow things off if he wants to. But you're going to have to pay for that. Okay? They're not going to do that for free. And then the good old prescribed fire, which is the best of all, and can't do it here in PA, but if you're in a state where you can use prescribed fire, you should be using it all the time. There's nothing better than making a mosaic. You know, going back to the wildlife end of things. You know, you could have like a ridge here, a valley. How can I draw this? A valley, a ridge, another valley, you know, maybe a knob up here. Well, anyway, if you have, say this is south over this way, this is north, well, you may want to just burn right up this ridge, like this. You might pick a spot that, you know, 50 acres, you're going to burn that every 4 years. And there might be another one over here you burn every 4 years. Okay? Ridge tops you leave alone. Deer are going to bed there. They're going to feed in here and bed on these south slopes in the wintertime. This could all be bedding, and then you could have food down here or something like that. Well, fire is just by far the cheapest tool that you're going to use. So that's about it for thinning. I could go into great detail on thinning. I'll probably do another video when I'm doing some of it, so I'll demonstrate what's going on with it. Oh, secret sauce. I almost forgot. I promised I'd give you my secret sauce. Okay. So, probably 3/4 of the time, we're doing, you know, your objective is wildlife. So we got deer and turkeys, right? Anytime you do wildlife management for deer and turkeys, you're helping out everybody else too. Songbirds, turtles, snakes, everything. Okay, so it's all good. So if there's any timber on the property, we do a commercial sale. say there's 50 acres or 100 acres, we get $50,000 in commercial logs. We leave the tops on the ground and make skid trails, and we make a big landing that could be planted. Then we take that 50 grand, we take 20% of it. So we take 10 grand, put it into this non-commercial stuff. Now this could be food plots. You could clear food plots out of the woods, and that cost about $6,000 or $7,000 an acre. Okay, so that'll eat up quite a bit of that 10,000. But you could put a couple acres of that in. You can, depending on how difficult it is. If you have a lot of rock and debris and whatnot, you can do some prescribed fire with that. You can do some TSI work and some herbicide work. Very important to do that herbicide work before you harvest, because if you have invasives, you ain't seen nothing yet until you take that overstory off. You do a commercial sale, you're going to let a lot of sunlight in, because these are the biggest crown trees, and when that light hits the forest floor, your invasives are going to explode. So you got to take care of invasives before you touch the timber. Okay, a lot of people have learned that the hard way. Now they have a problem that they can't get rid of. So yeah, I had a guy one time, used to post on this site because I thought it was good information. We were demonstrating I'll put a link to that down here too. We're demonstrating how we were clearing food plots out of the forest, in a rocky forest setting, and fixing up the soil, getting it planted. And the guy said, like, who do you expect is going to be able to do this stuff? All that equipment, the expense, nobody has that. Well, that landowner didn't have it either. He had a logger on the site. There was already an excavator, small dozer. We brought in a rock grinder, rented that, and some tillage equipment and planting equipment. Well, I had some contractors that do some of that, so I usually subcontract my planting out to a guy who has a drill and he hauls it around. So the timber on that acreage paid for all of that. He didn't take any money out of his pocket. So, don't criticize what you don't know about. Point of the story. Okay, so if you want some advice on forestry, wildlife habitat management, or if you're looking to buy some real estate or sell your place and get another one, let me know. I'm in central Pennsylvania. My contact information is down below. And like I say, I go all over the mid-Atlantic working, so call me anytime and we'll discuss your property. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. It helps out the channel. I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button and click on the bell so you'll be notified when there's a new video. And comment down below and let me know if there's anything you'd like to know more about.